Hey guys, this is V and you're watching Movies Hunter. So, this is a drama thriller film released in 2018 called My Teacher, My Obsession. In the opening scene, we see Riley and her father Chris who arrive at the school. While Riley is there to study, Chris is there to teach. Chris is the new English teacher of the school. Now, they have recently moved to a new town and this is their first day at school. Meanwhile, a student named Kyla is taking pictures of everyone at the school for the school's yearbook. She notices Chris and shifts all her focus to him. A popular student named Trisha also notices Chris and bets that she will have him under control within 2 days. Wow. In their first class, everyone is impressed with their new English teacher, especially the girls. Chris instantly becomes the new crush of every girl. Trisha doesn't waste any time and flirts with Chris after class. Meanwhile, Kyla goes to her usual hangout place and is shocked to see Riley there. Now at first, Kyla talks to her rudely, but when she learns that Chris is Riley's father, she asks Riley if she can come over to her house for a study session, seeing it as an opportunity to be close to Chris. Oh my god. She then returns home and finds her mother getting ready to go on a date with a guy. Later that night, Kyla dreams of Chris and pleasures herself by touching herself. The next day, Kyla goes to Riley's house. She doesn't waste any time and starts asking Riley questions about her father. Riley reveals that her mother was cheating on Chris, which resulted in a divorce and they moved to a new place. Kyla also tells Riley about her father, who left her when she was just 6. The next day at school, Trisha is still trying to use her charm on Chris. She flirts with him, but Chris, being old school, doesn't understand what she means. After the class, Trisha goes to see Riley and befriends her. When Kyla sees them together, she gets jealous. So she warns Riley that Trisha is dangerous and is obsessed with Chris. Kyla explains that Trisha has a history of messing around with teachers as she seduced a history teacher the previous year, which caused him to be substituted by another teacher for an entire year. Later that day, while talking to Riley, Kyla learns that Riley is turning 18 soon. So Kyla tells Riley to throw a birthday party at her house. She then changes the topic to Chris and tries to learn about his dating history. She learns that Chris is seeing someone, and then, someone knocks on the door. Kyla opens the door and sees Chris standing outside. It turns out that Chris is actually dating Kyla's mother for some time now. As she watches them flirt, she gets jealous and sabotages their date. Okay. Since Chris's clothes got dirty, he's forced to spend the night with them. While having dinner, Kyla is unable to take her eyes off Chris, but she goes back to her room as she just can't watch her mother and Chris flirting. Wow. She knows that her mother and Chris are going to get romantic that night, so to stop them from doing so, Kyla runs to them and lies that someone was watching her change in her room. She then requests her mother and Chris to stay with her, but then Kyla learns from Chris that despite her warning, Riley is hanging out with Trisha. The next morning, Chris offers to take Kyla to school as he is also going there after picking Riley. While they wait for Riley, Kyla flirts with Chris and tells him that she is grown up now and can do anything she wants in her life. Okay. However, Chris clearly has no idea what she is talking about. At school, Kyla confronts Riley and asks her why she is hanging out with Trisha despite her warning that Trisha is using her to get to her father. But Riley tells her that Trisha claims it wasn't her who seduced her history teacher, but it was Kyla. But Kyla denies the allegation and tells Riley to just leave her alone. She then confronts Trisha and threatens her to stay away from Riley, but Trisha is not bothered by her threats and refuses to back down. Later at night, Kyla takes pictures of herself in seductive poses. The next day, when Kyla opens her locker, she finds it filled with the pictures she took the previous night. So she goes straight to Chris, who assures her that he will find the person responsible for this. Kyla's mother is worried about Kyla and feels that Kyla is being taken advantage of, but Kyla assures her mother that she is fine. She also tells her mother that she got into Emerson for college. Later, Kyla and Riley make amends and apologize to each other as they realized how much they cared for each other. Yay, I guess. Kyla then reveals that it was her who had a history with a history teacher. Wow, wordplay. Claiming that she was being manipulated. Later that night, Kyla's mother is getting ready to meet Chris. When Chris arrives, he goes straight to the bathroom. Kyla then checks his phone and finds seductive messages from Trisha. Kyla's mother also reads the messages and accuses Chris of taking advantage of his students. So Kyla's mother breaks up with Chris and tells him to leave. Meanwhile, Kyla is enjoying the whole situation as her mother is finally out of her way. Ew. She then goes to meet Chris, who is sitting outside in his truck trying to figure out what exactly happened. Kyla gets inside and starts seducing Chris. Her plan works and she kisses Chris, who doesn't stop her. Kyla finally got what she wanted and she's very happy. It is then revealed that it was Kyla who sent those messages to Chris, posing as Trisha. Oh my god, she's a psycho. The next day at school, Chris is completely lost in class. Trisha is still trying to flirt with Chris, but Kyla interrupts her. But just then, police come to the class and take Trisha away, as they found her phone, which was used to text Chris those messages as well as the pictures of Kyla from the locker. Later that night, Kyla leaves for Riley's birthday party. Kyla's mother finally got over Chris and still believes that he was seducing one of his students. At the party, Kyla wishes Riley and then goes straight to Chris's room. Chris is still trying to resist Kyla's advances, but eventually gives in and they get romantic. Oh no. But just then, Riley walks in and sees them together. She is disgusted by the scene and runs away. Chris tries to stop her, but it's too late and there's no going back. So Chris decides to go after her, but is stopped by Kyla, who lies to him that Riley is addicted to alcohol. But Chris doesn't believe her and heads out to find Riley anyway. The next morning, Riley informs Kyla's mother about what happened last night. At school, Chris tries to make amends with Riley, but she isn't in the mood. After the class, Kyla's mother confronts Chris and slaps him, thinking that he seduced her daughter. But Kyla tells her mother that she is of legal age now and she can love anyone she wants. She even claims that she and Chris are in love. Later at home, Riley finally comes down and confronts Chris. She wants to know why he crossed the line. Chris apologizes to Riley for everything and tells her that he will never see Kyla anymore. He reveals that after the divorce, he felt very lonely and wanted someone to love him. So he easily got seduced by Kyla when she made advances towards him. Riley accepts his apology and forgives him. So the next day, Kyla calls Trisha and asks her to meet her before school. When Trisha comes there, Kyla admits to framing her. She then starts hitting herself and even breaks her fingers. When Riley and Chris also come there, Kyla cries for help, claiming that Trisha attacked her. So Trisha is arrested by the police and Kyla is taken to the hospital. Riley and Chris also go to the hospital, where Riley tells Kyla their relationship with their father is over. Kyla appears to agree. She then asks Riley to take over her yearbook responsibilities later that night, to which Riley accepts. After Riley leaves, Kyla tells Chris that with Trisha gone, they can finally be together. But Chris turns her down, telling her that their relationship is over and that she should leave him alone. But Kyla is now completely obsessed with Chris and wants to further grow her relationship with him. Kyla declares she will never leave him and reminds him he will have to see her every day in class. So Chris decides to quit his job to get away from her, and he then leaves to collect his things from school. Meanwhile, Kyla takes a scalpel from the hospital and flees. At the school, Kyla confronts Riley and tells her that only one of them can be in Chris's life. She then stabs Riley and attempts to kill her. Kyla then goes to Chris's office and holds the scalpel to his throat, telling him that they are meant to be together. Oh no. Kyla reveals that she was the one who manipulated her previous teacher, not the opposite. If Chris continues to refuse her, she'll make sure that his life is ruined. But Chris manages to push Kyla off of him. Kyla hits back and Chris is knocked out after hitting his head in the table. A janitor hears the commotion and stumbles upon Kyla, who pretends to be injured and asks him to get help. As the janitor runs to find help, a very much alive Riley warns him to run. But Kyla catches him and kills him. She then tries to finish Riley as well, but Riley eventually manages to beat Kyla and knocks her out cold. Later, the police come there and both Riley and Kyla are taken away in separate cars. Riley is surprised to see Kyla alive, but she is in no condition to finish her. Time passes by, and Riley and Chris have moved on from the incident. Riley is now in college, and she is leaving for her first day of college. As she leaves after saying goodbye to her father, a hooded figure can be seen watching them from far away, whose identity, however, is not revealed. And so this was the story of My Teacher, My Obsession. See you in the next hunt.